So apart from my lack of nail on the thumb, which are the obstacles there to the art of learning falsettas and how falsettas were learned before? For that which concerns flamenco, there is a way in which you can really save time and enjoy it. And the more you do it, the more you enjoy it. But first, we need to have a real perspective about which are the obstacles to which we may be confronted when trying to learn falsettas. And here I wrote down 10 things, which we will explain briefly in this series about 10 typical 10 obstacles which are there. I learned this from Paco, by the way, and you will benefit from it enormously if you even give yourself a try for a couple of weeks, or I don't know, for a week or for a month, as much as your will and determination and love for music is there. And then, well, let's start to explain on this series what's the thing. So first we have the basic obstacles there, which are invisible to many players, and not only the so-called beginners have this problem. Sometimes so-called advanced people have the problem because of lack of. Paco actually reduced this. I asked him that, coach out, what's the problem with guitar, and he said this is two things only. He reduces it to two things, which are misunderstandings or not really getting what's the problem, the target, and your position, your framework. So misunderstanding or things which you don't understand or which you understand wrong. God forbid, that's even worse. And then lack of proper training. These two things, he said. This is because he was so humble to believe that actually he's same like us. You know? He never thought I am a genius, you know, and you are so inferior. But he thought, well, everyone can develop this thing if you follow the proper thing, which is avoid misunderstandings, right? And what is the jumping over the gradient thing, which he emphasized so much. But here, to make you, because it's very condensed, this answer, what he said, I understood very well what he meant with it, but to get you into the real thing with the results and proofs, facts there, because I like always to prove things, I will walk you through what really Paco meant there to say. And this is because now we will have to buy this ball, the crystal ball, and do there with Ricky or some other friends, hold our hands and said, Paco, we have some questions here. And I don't know if he will answer, but when he was alive, I placed every question and even more to clear my inner doubts, because this is one thing that you will never get. The main factor is confidence. And to play at any level, this doesn't mean only, that's another wrong assumption that only advanced people, it applies to them only, or professionals or something. This is a very common misunderstanding. So Paco said misunderstanding. What is the basic misunderstanding? He meant, well, to try to approach flamenco without rhythmic reference. For instance, there's many things he meant. But I enumerate here 10 as follows. And because this is the video presentation of this, along with the new project, which I will launch in a couple of days or so for you to see, that is called AG R Resources. So we will be an avant-garde guitaristic resources, AGR technique, which allows you to play any music. But for the case of flamenco, as far as flamenco is concerned, we have to start explaining how, because it is flamenco modern technique, what will give you the power to play anything you like to play. But that we will talk apart. Now let's go to the topic and get to the 10 points that I enumerate here to facilitate the understanding of the problem. And then we will see, of course, the solution too. This is not like the politics things, because it is based on one's own inspiration. My inspiration is to make you play better, And I live to this goal, to this narrative every day of my life. That's why I have 3,000 videos. And check at the description my thanks video where I show we have 7 years of traffic every month, and I get $9, which I can buy half of the set of strings for the next month. So I'm doing this only for you. And I hope the beauty of music is not lost, and that our minds can fix more on the musical reality, on the marvelous musical reality, which will make you really enjoy the thing. So here we go, and we have the 10, then we will have to explain them, of course, each one. And the first one is, of course, as Paco said, I put this first, misunderstanding or lack of understanding. This is number 1. Second is lack of knowledge on how to practice, including what and why. Is, generally people use it. I point there because I live here in Malaga, 1 block from the conservatory. So I'm seeing these guys there in the building, the conservatory of Spain. And sometimes, I find people in the street and say, Maestro, I am so bored with this. People is making me learn 7 claves or things like that. And then this shows that they don't know why they are actually doing it. They don't know about the bureaucratic procedure actually, but what I want to say is that we need to know how we will study the things. This is one misunderstanding, big one, which Paco said actually in 2 words, because he was a man of very few words, you see, which contain the truth if you pick him in the proper moment and not in front of people, etc., because it may not tell exactly what is in his mind. So make sure that didn't happen, and that's why. But these 2 things, misunderstandings, are many things. We will explain them gradually, and of course, this lack of knowledge on how to practice, because the thing is how you will learn it, and this gives us to the 10th aspect, which is the do-it-yourself philosophy, which, I also learned things from blues or jazz or other. I like to, because it's a great thing that you put a video and learn maybe a scale or a blues scale or thing. For other styles, it may work. But up to now, teaching 7 years in the Royal Conservatory of Canada, etc., and having hundreds of people, I have sit in front of them to try to help them and teach them something. And I haven't seen one person that really learn everything of this without any proper guidance, a map, and a personalized supervision. That's why Paco indicated this misunderstanding, first of all, is to believe that we can do the things without having a real reference of how we are doing. And that doesn't happen unless you record yourself, which is lack of recording. This is a big obstacle. And to just show you what is it at the end, I will put this part there to not mess up with the camera now. But that's the number 2. So the lack of knowledge of how to practice and what, and including what and why. Then we have the number 3, that is the wrong use of time. Often with useless shortcuts. People think they will save time and they go into the wrong path. And now it doesn't matter how much time you are going. If I want to south and I go north, right? Then it doesn't matter how fast I'm doing or how much I will make my job with the rods, in the canals or anything, but it doesn't move because I have an anchor there. And the anchor, so if you have an anchor and keep all the night rowing, and still the boat doesn't move because the anchor is there. So we need to identify the anchor. This is the lack of perspective, which Paco also included. And well, number 4 is the belief that only Paco can play these things, or it's for very advanced people, and that is not for us, or that we can't. This is also very wrong as assumption, and I told this Paco personally. I saw him at the end of one concert. One guy came there and said, Paco, since I see the other day, because he came every day to this concert, and then he said, yesterday, since I see you playing, I quit guitar forever. you know. He meant to say a compliment, but actually Paco said, do you think this is a compliment, man? I like when people said, you know, after your concert we got a bottle of whiskey or whatever and then went to the hotel and played all night. You know, anything, but he liked that this is because actually I said, wow, this is a twist of an answer that I never imagined, because it's a wrong assumption that you cannot do the things. So they believe that only advanced players or Paco can do it. This is, you know how many people told me you cannot play like Paco, which is true, by the way, but let's say when I was, because I said, no, I follow one teacher only, since I was a child. My mother danced with Paco when he was not soloist, but just the player in the Canasteros in 1968 or 69. In the Tablao Manolo Caracol, my mother was a dancer there, and Paco was accompanied. This is since, so before I was born, the thing. Therefore, that, they all life they told me you cannot play like Paco, you will forget about this, only Paco, you have to do your own things, etc. So repeating like parrot stuff, meaningless, or half-truths which only apply in certain circumstances, and what does not depend on circumstances, my friends. So therefore, this thing, the number 5 is jumping over the gradient, and that means that we pick either a speed of things too fast. We will explain all in detail. But jumping over the gradient is also trying to run before you fly, before you can run, right? To say it in 2 words. 7 is the lack of recordings, which is this one thing that Paco always wanted. He never trusted without his cassette thing to record. First and then listen, okay, then I like or I don't like, but because he said, and it's true, guitar players' biggest problem is lack of objectivity. They are not objective, right? So in the gradient, this thing in the gradient means that if I have to learn this falsetta, well, right? So first I will go 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Only I will play just 2 notes. 12. Right? This is the beginning of the falsetto. 11, 12. And I just do that. Then I go. Right? So, and if I now all of a sudden, instead of knowing the meter, the counting, the thing, and I try to play this thing like this, right? And then I really cannot handle it. Then I'm jumping over the gradient. This is one thing, and the other thing is trying to play flamenco without knowing the rhythm itself. This is just because there is a meter. In flamenco, there are 2 branches, fortunately, and then the libitun thing. But this is then we have absence on recording, therefore lack of technique, of effective, really real technique, not imaginary. We think we are this, but bad habits start by not having friendship with this guy. This guy first is an enemy, and there is bad vibe from him, because he put us in our place, or we feel his limits, but then it becomes a friend, and then it becomes your servant. This is what Paco had said, that he had the Casio watch of the orchestra conductors from the 70s, the $10 thing. He loved it very well. Well, the thing is, this lack of technique comes out of this, and then the 9th is the lack of reference in your study. So because you don't, why you are learning what you are practicing. I asked to the students in conservatory, I said, but I don't know. They said that then of course the power of your knowledge will not be same if you don't know why you are walking. We have not to forget where we are walking, because the direction is to really get confidence. Confidence is everything. Everything. Absolutely everything. But unless we get this assurance, how you will be confident? This is because of fear that we don't have our own projection, personal projection, etc., through anyone's music or with our own music, it doesn't matter. So this lack of reference, because I don't know really why I'm doing. I learn a little bit from Vicente Amigo, a little bit from Tomatito, a little bit from Morado, a little bit from Paco, a little bit from and then you're really not knowing. You know, if you are pouring water into a plant, and then if the water gets to the root of the plant, then the whole thing, right? But if you just pour water over every leaf, right, that will not be as effective. So therefore, it's how to be effective. So because I try to explain this as best as possible, and I don't know so many people will love it because they ask me actually request this to do it, and then I am obliged here. But I will just read the 10 things straight. 1, misunderstandings or lack of understanding. Number 2, lack of knowledge on how to practice, including what and why. Number 3 is wasting time or the wrong use of time with useless shortcut, like not having a rhythmic reference from day one or not knowing how to save time. Number 4, the belief that only advanced players of Paco can do it and that you can't, which is a wrong assumption, of course. Number 5, jumping over the gradient or one's own gradient of technique, rhythm, repertory, understanding your trainer on any matter, in harmony, meter, knowledge, anything. If you jump over the gradient, you go really astray. Number 6 is the lack of objectivity, which comes from not recording the things properly. Number 7 is the absence of recording